I'm going to welcome you to Michelle. And I'm so thrilled to introduce you to Michelle. I've known Michelle for a long time now. Michaele Wynn Jones is her full name, and she's an artist. She works across many mediums. She's a true creative. She's got years of experience of teaching art as well in many different settings, including prisons. And it's places like schools and prisons that we really need to bring creativity in because creativity is such a powerful tool for reflection, expression, and change. Michelle is probably the world's only dyscalculic numerologist, and she's a blooming amazing one as well. So I'm so grateful for you to being here today, Michelle, and bringing some gentle, joyful playfulness and creativity into this space of gentleness because it all belongs here.
Thank you, Helen. Hello, everybody. Lovely to be here as part of the Gentleness Day. We're going to have a go at something called neurographic art. Sounds great, doesn't it? What is neurographic art? Well, actually, it's hugely good fun. It's very simple. You do not need to have any artistic ability whatsoever, and you can be of any age. So you can do this with your children, your grandchildren, your grandparents. You can try this with anybody. One of my sisters is already quite obsessed, and she only started doing it 2 days ago. So what actually is it? Well, it's a form or a process of drawing that enhances a meditation sort of state of mind, like mindfulness, but it enhances your creativity and a sense of well-being. It was invented by a Russian psychologist called Pavel Piskarev in 2014, and he suggests that what it actually does is connect your subconscious with your consciousness, and it works by firing off new neurons in the brain that helps you solve problems. So that's what he says. He also claims that it helps with negativity, it increases focus, it boosts creativity, it promotes positivity, and I can't think of a better way of doing something that is actually good fun as well. So I suggest we get started. Can I just remind you, this is a very simple process and does not need a lot of kit. I work on a board. You can work on the back of a tea tray. The reason for that is you can keep turning it around as you work and get a different aspect of it. So you'll need a board or a tray if you've got one. If you've got some masking tape, and masking tape looks like this, it's used by painters and artists to literally mask off bits of their painting. I use it to anchor my paper to the board, but also by doing so, it creates a lovely border to the finished piece of work. If you haven't got any, don't worry. If you have got some, and you might not have used it before, as you pull it out, you press it onto your t-shirt, your pullover, or your trousers, because it takes a bit of the stick off so that your paper doesn't tear when you take it off at the very end of the process. So I'm just going to put that on while you're thinking about putting it on, and then we'll get on with the process of what we're going to do. Now, it's very simple. As I said, all you need is a pencil to start with. And I should have told you before you put this onto the paper, but we can do it anyway. If you haven't stuck it down, on the back of the paper, write down what you're planning on getting out of this session, what your intention would be. Is it calmness? Is it relaxation? Is it something about friendship, compassion? Write down a key word. And when you've thought about that keyword, if you want to, you could elaborate that a little bit more. You could write a few keywords that will help. For example, if you've written down gentleness, what does gentleness mean to you? How would you see gentleness interacting into what's going on in the world at the moment? How can you, as an individual, do your part to spread a sense of love, calm, peace, gentleness? Just write down a few key words. And then when you're ready, either turn it over so that you've got the plain side in front of you like that, or turn it over and then put on your masking tape. It doesn't matter if you haven't got any masking tape, folks. It won't make any difference. Right, now we begin the process, and it really is very, very simple. All you're going to do is you're going to get a felt tip pen, because that way you can't rub it out, and the mark you make stays on the paper. And you literally take your felt tip pen, and you are literally going to draw a line from one edge to another edge. Now, that does not necessarily mean left to right, right to left, or top to bottom. You could start in the left and end up on the top corner. So what you're going to do is take a line for a walk. Just relax and take a line for a walk from one edge to the other. And your line may look like that when you've done it. So then what you're going to do is for the next 3 or 4 minutes, you are going to add additional lines anywhere. The only rule being that you start on one edge and you finish on an edge. I'm just going to give you time to do that. The lines are allowed to cross over. And if you find you keep going in the same direction, as soon as you become aware that you're going in the same direction, change direction. Off you go. Your line can have loops in it, if that's what you'd like to have. It doesn't have to be just one line. You can create a loop. Okay, pause for a moment. And then if you want to hold it up so that Helen can see it, do, then you'll get an idea. I'm not going to show you mine, folks, because Helen, having given me such a wonderful introduction, you're going to think you've got to do it like me, and you don't. Okay? So maybe Helen will show you where she's got to with hers.
They're looking good. So that's mine there.
That's lovely. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Excellent, excellent. All right. Now, the reason I suggested you put it on a board is because you can turn the board round and see if you've got a sort of balance. Is there one place where there's absolutely nothing that you might consider doing a line or not? You may even think of getting a thinner felt tip pen and doing a couple of thin lines, which gives you a little bit of variety, but you don't have to. Okay, now the other thing Parvell suggested was that any kind of organic shape is part and parcel of this process. So you may decide, you look at your piece of work and you may decide to pick up your fat felt tip pen again and draw some kind of organic shape. What do I mean about organic shape? A circle, a rounded triangle, an oval shape, 2 or 3 different size circles. If you want to add an organic shape to your design, you can. This does not have to touch the edges this time. You're just adding an organic shape to your piece of work. Okay, now Parvell believed that where the lines intersect, so if you look at your work, you will see some of the lines actually intersect like that. You've got bits that where they cross over. He believed that that caused some kind of tension because psychologically, when we see very sharp, pointed, jagged edges, we think of possibly aggression or sharpness or anger. So, what I'm going to invite you to do, according to his process, is to round off those corners. How are you going to do it? You're going to do it like that. Can you see that? You kind of draw a small little C in the corner like that, and you round off that shape. And this is going to take you a little while. So I'm going to give you a little while to do this because the idea is that you're going to do it on all the intersecting lines. So your whole page will be covered in organic shapes. I'll leave you to do that.
Michelle, whilst we all do that, we had one lady that's just come in now. So if you could just tell her about drawing lines
Yes, I
quickly.
can easily do that. Hello
Thank
and
you.
welcome. Glad to see you. There's no such thing as being late. What you're going to do is you're going to simply take a fat felt tip pen, preferably black, and let your hand wander and draw a line from one edge to another edge on your piece of paper. That doesn't necessarily mean left to right or right to left, or even top to bottom. You could start at the bottom edge and end up on the right-hand side edge. So you're simply going to draw lines. And some of those lines, you could even make them loopy. That's up to you. So if you start with that, I'll then fill you in a minute with what else you can do. I hope the rest of you are getting on all right with this. It's quite a restful process. It stops you thinking about other things that are on your to-do list, like the housework, the ironing, the emails you should be sending, all those things. This is just your time. Time to be gentle with yourself. So to the lady who's just come in, you will have a sheet of paper where you now have a lot of lines that intersect like that. And where you have the lines intersecting, it's making a sharp point. You are now going to round those sharp points off like that by drawing a little C in the join there and filling it in. And you're going to try and do that on all the sharp points. If any of you chose to use the size A4 piece of paper, this is going to take you until 3:30. So you might choose to not to do all of them, but simply to bear in mind that that is the process. So your papers will start looking like that. Can you see where the rounded off bits are? I haven't finished mine either, but that is how it's going to look. I'll just give you another minute or so, because then we get to the good fun bit that you've all been waiting for. Now, while you're finishing this off, just give a little bit of thought for a minute to the colour, because you're going to start adding colours to this. And the colour could be simply a favourite colour. You may have a favourite colour that happens to be blue. So you may decide to do the whole thing in shades of blue. You could choose them intuitively by simply closing your eyes, putting your hand on your felt tip pens or whatever, and just pulling out 5 colours or 6 colours. You may go back to thinking about what was your intention? What was the word you thought of at the beginning? What does calm mean to you? Is it shades of grey and pink? Is it sky blue? Is it pale green? If you put friendship, what colour would that mean to you? So you could use those colours, because that is the last and final bit and the most fun bit of this process, folks. You are now going to colour in your shapes. So when you are ready, you can take any kind of colouring material. You can use felt tip pens, crayons, oil paint, oil pastel, anything you like. Some of you may like at this point to play some music off Spotify. Put music on your phone, you can use that.
Do hum. Humming is very good for you and for your nervous system. So have a little hum.
If any of you are interested in another mindfulness art practice called Zen tangling, which is basically mindful doodling, you could even fill in some of your shapes with your felt tip pen and do some kind of doodling on top of them. If any of you wanted to, you could also do this practice again at another time, just using the shapes, the white and the black and white. So you could add patterns if you want to. It is not compulsory, but you might like to do that, some of you. How's it going, folks? Are you all chilled out? We haven't got much longer because Helen's got another session to put on shortly. So I'm just going to give you another 5 minutes to finish as much as you can. Don't rush to finish this because it can be done later on. It can be done when we're offline. So don't rush the process. Just take your time. And don't forget to turn your paper around so that you get a different view of it. Those of you who've got quite a long way into this, you may look at your piece of work and think, that's the most important bit just there. I like that bit best. In which case, you get your fat felt tip pen and you emphasize the lines on that particular piece that you like more than some of the other pieces. You just emphasize it with a strong black line. It's a kind of focal point. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute when I show you what I have done, because it's too late for you to worry about whether you've done the same as me or not. And there are no experts in this, not even Pavel. Okay. Helen, I don't know if anybody is ready to do a little bit of a show and tell, but if I show you mine, I'll show you where I've got to. That's where I've got to, folks.
Oh, wow.
I've done a little bit of Zentangling just to show you what I'm talking about with Zentangling, like that. And I have pulled out, by looking at it, this kind of egg shape right in the middle.
Beautiful.
So it'd be great if anybody else would care to show what they've done so far themselves. Go on, Helen.
There we go. Well, that was mine. I think it's that way up.
That's lovely, Helen. And also, Helen,
Yeah.
if you get a slightly stronger colour for each of your colour shapes and you go round the edge of that shape, it will give it a three-dimensional effect as well.
Okay.
You just press a bit harder with that colour. So if you've used a green pencil, find the same green pencil and just go round the edge of that shape, shade it in so that you get a kind of three-dimensional form coming out of that.
Nice. Yes. I've got it.
Excellent.
So you've probably got another two minutes to carry on, and then the idea is that these recordings will all be available on our website as well, so that you can go back in and replay and redraw and bring in a different word and expression. Just gonna
Good. Perfect.
round of my.
Some of you may consider posting your designs to Helen so that she can put them up on her website.
Yes, do, or we can share them in groups as well. But it does look nice, Michelle, when you go around, like you said, around the edges.
Yes.
I don't want to stop.
You don't have to, Helen.
Should we just say
carry on? I keep a little notebook in my car with my drawing materials because I get a bit fed up with the M25. So if I get held up for an hour on the M25, instead of shouting and getting fed up and wishing I knew where I could possibly go to the loo, I get my little notebook out and I start sketching or drawing. And this is a perfect thing to do on the train, on the bus, in a dentist waiting room, anywhere where you have a bit of time to make a bit of me time.
Beautiful. Oh, and I said, yeah, I think it's the curving, isn't it? It is a beautiful form of gentleness, just softening and.
That's exactly right. Release of tension.
Yeah, you can feel it as you do it. Thank you. What a beautiful session. Thank you so much. Yes,
great pleasure.